Hello. It is actually, I can still say good evening. It's 11:34 here in Albuquerque. 26 minutes till midnight. And it's hard to tell from the screen, but I don't think I have solved something that I started working on last night. However, I shall proceed. Tonight is going to be a Sippin' and Talkin' video. I'm recording this barely still on the 21st of October. I don't know when I'll upload it. The soonest will be this coming Sunday. This is Tuesday as I record. The soonest will be Sunday. It may be a lot later than that. But instead of continuing to rebuild my Whiskey Basics series, I am going to blow off some steam. In order to do that, I'm going to first pour some whiskey. And I've noticed that, now I'm not a big cork pop enthusiast, but I've noticed that they don't come across well recording on the phone, so I'm going to try putting it closer. And if I get it any closer, that happens because of the table here. But we'll see how this works. I know I have recorded an earlier video with this same whiskey, wherein it is obviously pale. I don't know if I've uploaded it. I think it was a Sippin' and Talkin', and those things I upload, I do one a week on Sunday, but I just kind of randomly pick from what I have in the can. The whiskey here is Abasolo. It comes from the Destilería y Bodega Abasolo in el Estado de Mexico. I have been thinking it was in Oaxaca for some reason, but it's in el Estado de Mexico, which is one of the states of Mexico. The official name of Mexico is Los Estados Unidos Mexicanos, the United Mexican States. And one of the states of the country Mexico is Mexico, the state. El Estado de México es un parte del país México. The state of Mexico is a part of the country Mexico. This is a corn whiskey, 100%, well, there. I may just go back to the way I was doing it. It caused me less trouble. And if I move the glass over onto that, so. But this is made from 100% cacahuacintle corn. It's a white corn that grows above 7,000 feet in certain areas mountainous areas of Mexico. And Mexico has a lot of mountains. It also has jungle and desert and beaches. I don't know if they do any skiing there, but given the mountains, it wouldn't surprise me. Has rivers. Mexico has just about everything that the United States does, with the addition of jungles, but the omission of the wet, temperate climate of our Pacific Northwest. But they take this corn, they sprout a little bit of it, and then dry it and grind it. The rest they nixtamalize. I can never say that correctly. In Spanish might be easier. Nixtamal. The process would be nixtamalización, I think, which is actually easier. But that's the process of taking the corn, soaking it in lye, or lye water anyway. That causes it to swell, the skin comes off. It's how you make hominy, in fact. And then they dry that as well. They mix the two, the small portion of sprouted corn and the rest that's been nixtamalized. They grind it up. That's what they make their mash out of. Now, Mexico doesn't have to follow American corn whiskey rules because it's not part of the United States. It's a separate country. But they apparently do. As you can see, it is a very pale whiskey. It's like a champagne color. And they use used bourbon barrels. Under American law, you can only use a bourbon barrel once. After that, you cannot put whiskey in it anymore and have it come out bourbon. And so there are hundreds and thousands of barrels that go to Scotland, go to Ireland, go to wherever, go to Mexico, to this distillery. And so it's not a very old whiskey. I don't know the age, but they don't age it too awful long. And since the bourbon has gotten most of the color and most of the flavor out, you get a pale whiskey. But at the same time, because it's not picking up as much from the barrel, you get the flavor of the corn and the aroma of the corn. And there's a slight bit of sourness. Corn whiskey, and I've come to believe that it's the grain forwardness that can happen when you're not aging it long, or your climate is not such that even in a used barrel it's picking up a lot. But this is also a very sweet nose. And it's not as strong tonight as it usually is, but there's a peppery aroma. And if your grocery store has it on the shelf, look for some abuelita Mexican chocolate. It's got a picture of a little old lady on it, an abuelita, a little grandma. And just grab that and sniff on it. And it smells great. If I liked hot chocolate, I'd buy it and try it. But what do I want to talk about tonight? What is it that I need to blow off steam about? Well, we've been subscribed to Xfinity for a while, before it was even Xfinity. When it was just Comcast, we signed up for it. It gives us our landline, which we still have for various reasons. Gives me the internet. My wife doesn't do that. It gives us our cable TV. And they offered to send free of charge a new modem. When it arrived, it was considerably more compact, fits better in the only place we have to put it. Due to where all the plugs and stuff are, it has to be, the TV and the modem have to be in that corner. There's just no other way to do it. This apartment they built in the 60s and then later installed cable, and so it's not designed for the way things are now. But it works. So I, last night, took it out of the box, it said scan the QR code. I scanned it, gave me instructions. I set out to follow them. They weren't as clear as they could have been. It seems impossible these days for anybody to write instructions that are clear. And that shouldn't be that bloody difficult. A child should be able to give you clear directions on which wire to put where and all this kind of stuff. But I got everything connected the way it should be. And then the app said, do this. I hit the button on the app. It was going to start blinking white. It never did. It blinked yellow, then it blinked green, then the light went out. Well, here's the thing. Comcast doesn't give you a phone number to call. There's no email address. I haven't looked. I'm going to. But I don't know that they give a snail mail address. If they do, I am going to write them a letter. But I got in the chat with the live agent who walked me through various things, not a problem. Everything came up, the internet came up, I had the TV, the phone had no dial tone. I was trying to tell him that and he hung up, disconnected, whatever the term is, left the chat. It's sweet on the palate too. There's a grainy honey note. Maybe it's a honeyed grain note. I think the honey is more forward than the grain. But you can definitely tell that this is a grain spirit. You know, you age things long enough, you get so much from the wood that the grain kind of fades into the background. And all you get is sweetness from corn, fruitiness from barley. Depending on your palate, either spiciness or mineral and vegetal notes from rye. And I don't know what rice and oats give. I've never had the opportunity to taste rice whiskey or oat whiskey, nor any whiskey which included those grains. And so being as pale it is, aging in the used bourbon barrels for based on what I see and taste, based on that, not aged not too awful long, I don't know if it would even qualify as a straight whiskey in the United States. And I have a video you can go back and watch on what a straight whiskey is. I would promise you to put the link in the description, but again, I don't know when I'm going to upload this, so I will surely forget by then. But after that guy got out of the chat, I spent 2 hours, most of it trying to get a human being. They had this AI, which is absolutely stupid. This is my first real encounter with artificial intelligence, and there was absolutely no intelligence there at all. I would state in plain terms what the problem was. It would just give me the same list over and over. I'd say, that doesn't work. It would give me the list. I would say, I want a real person. It would give me the list. Or I would say, I want a real person. It would ask me what the problem was. It was just a basic program where if you put in X query, you get Y response. If the program doesn't recognize the query, it gives you either Y response anyway or a generic dumb, I don't know what I'm doing response. But I finally got another real person, and no joy. I got nowhere. Same problems. And I can't remember the details now. By the time it was over, I was mad enough to chew nails and spit thumbtacks. I got up. Finally, I went to bed. I told the live dude, look, I got to go to bed. I need you to fix this. I have to go to work tomorrow. And I work late shifts. So this was about 4 o'clock in the morning I told him this. And he said in the chat, I will make sure it's fixed. I will update you via email. Guess which of those actually happened? That's right, none of it actually happened. The dude lied to me to get rid of me, I guess. Well, I got up today, still no dial tone on the phone. I got a human being without too much fuss. And I set out to explain the problem. Make sure turn the modem on. I was fighting with it all night. Do you think it's turned off, you ninny? Now, I didn't say that. I just told him it's been on for hours. I can hear it running right now. And I don't know why it makes such a loud noise. It sounds like the fan is grinding in all its gears. Assuming there's a fan in it. But finally, I got him out of his rut of pre-programmed responses. And by the way, none of these people had names that I recognized at all. Apparently, they're just handles for the chat. And it makes me wonder, why do you need to disguise your live agent's identity? Every call center I ever worked at, I gave my actual name. If a member, customer, whatever, wanted to know where I was, I told him. No hiding. Why are these people hiding behind handles? Well, maybe so that they don't get the blame for their stupid and rude and useless service. But I finally got this guy to listen actually to what I was saying, told him what had happened, told him what the problem was. He said, okay, I'm going to restart your modem. And they can do that. They have the, what is it, a Mac can or some such address. It's on the bottom, so I have to turn it upside down. All the wires hooked up, I have to turn it upside down and read the bloody thing. They can't include it on a piece of paper in the box. Can you tell I'm frustrated with these people? Because if you can't, let me tell you, I'm frustrated with these people. This is not by any means a complex whiskey. It's only 86 proof. It hasn't aged long. It's aged in the used bourbon barrels. So it's not picked up a lot from the wood, but what is there is good. I would like it to be stronger. I would love to see this in a barrel proof. Even at a young age, even not being able to get as much from the wood as from a new charred barrel, at barrel proof, this stuff would be fantastic, I believe. Or even at a higher proof, say 100 proof. And, maybe a couple of 3 years more aged. That wouldn't hurt. But it's good stuff. I like this. Well, the modem did its thing. It came back up. I had dial tone. He said, well, we have to, whenever you install a new modem, we have to re-provision it. Re-provision? That's what you do when you have a unit out in the field. They've used up all their rations and you bring in a bunch more sea rats. Oh, they have MREs or I think they've even had something after MREs now. When I was in the Air Force, now the Air Force doesn't do a lot of going out in the field. You got your combat controllers, you got your forward air controllers. At the time, when I was in a combat communications unit, a whole group, there's the flight, then the squadron, then the group. So this was the third echelon up. And I'll sanitize it for you, but I learned, and it's out of date by the way now, but I learned a way to remember the order of precedence. How many new airmen will get sick first? How? Headquarters, United States Air Force. New, numbered Air Force. Airmen, Air Division. When I was at Osan, it was the headquarters of the 314th Air Division. I don't think they have those anymore. New airmen. Will is a wing. Get is a group. Sick is a squadron. First is a flight. And a flight is more or less equal to a platoon. A squadron is more or less equivalent to a company, and so on up the line for all y'all who are soldiers or Marines. And by the way, Marine is a capital M. Marines and soldiers are different. Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, when they are the names of the services, require a capital letter. Don't write them wrong. Show a little respect for those of us who've been there or are there and protecting your sorry, ignorant butts. Yes, I get a little exercised. You know, I have very strong opinions. This is a whiskey channel, but especially Sippin' and Talkin', my opinions come out. And if you are too lazy to spell things correctly when referring to those of us who are protecting your sorry butts, then don't say anything at all. We deserve better. The people still in uniform deserve better. Minor detail? Well, when you're out there, maybe even risking your life, getting ready, maybe going to die in combat, and somebody doesn't have enough respect to spell things right, that can mean something. Anyway, re-provisioned the modem. All it took was like 5 minutes, and everything worked the way it was supposed to. Why couldn't the other two do that? Were they just so stupid or so lazy that they didn't do their jobs? And the guy who finally fixed it was as obtuse as a stone wall. It took pounding to get through to him what I needed. And it didn't used to be that way. When we first moved to this apartment in 2012, so it's been 23 or 13 years now, we are still, after 13 years, paying less rent here than we would have been paying 13 years ago if we'd stayed in the other apartment. Can you see why we're still here? But when we first moved here, all we had was the cable TV. And, that was back when it was still possible to connect online via dial-up, and I did. The phone wire still runs along. I've never took it down. But my brain went blank. Oh, when we moved in here and we called them up, yes, you could call. They had a phone number. When we called up to transfer the service, I say young lady, I don't know her age. She sounded like a young lady in 20s, 30s. She said that the previous tenants in this apartment had not paid their bill, and Comcast policy was that we had to submit, I know there was a copy of the lease and I can't think what else, in order to not have to put down a deposit to cover that default. Now, she was polite. She listened. She understood what I was saying. I didn't have to repeat myself. And so I didn't get mad at her. I got mad at the company, and I told her, ma'am, I'm not mad at you. You're just doing your job. But it is not right that we should have to suffer for what they did. She said She was going to check with her supervisor, put me on hold. 5 or 10 minutes later, I'd say 5. It's been 13 years, so I could be remembering, but we'll say 5 minutes. She came back and said, "My supervisor has authorized me to waive all that requirement. We will transfer your service immediately." Now that is customer service. Now granted, if I had yelled at her, she would have stuck to the company line. She wouldn't have budged an inch, and I'd have been stuck. But I showed respect. I was courteous. I understood she wasn't making these rules. She just had to work with them. I allowed her to go check with her supervisor, and I thanked her at the end of it because she deserved it. She provided service to a customer. These 3 jerks I dealt with last night and tonight barely provided anything. It took 3 of them to get a simple fix. And the third one who did fix it, as I say, he was an obtuse little idiot. How hard is it to say, "Oh, you just installed your new modem, everything's working except the phone, no dial tone. Let me do this." "Ah, I've done that. Do you have dial tone?" "You do? Well, good. I'm glad I was able to help." What is so difficult about that? And yet he couldn't muster the intelligence to do that. Xfinity, ever since it became Comcast, has gone downhill. Now, they're providing, as long as everything works, and I don't have to deal with them other than paying the bill, everything's great. I got more TV channels than, you could pare it down by probably 80-90%, and I still would have more channels than I watch. My wife doesn't use all those channels, and she watches a ton more TV than I do. The internet works great. I've got no problems there. The phone service works until I have to deal with the company. And then it's crap. If I ever get to move back to Texas and I can manage to find somebody other than Xfinity, yeah. I'd rather go with a one-horse local internet company where I can talk to somebody when I have a problem, somebody who will listen, who will understand, and who will fix it. That's the way to go. Okay, I said I had to blow off steam. I have. It's actually going on 29 minutes, so I'm just going to cut it off. Cheers.